Can you imagine yourself physically hurting someone you love? Let's say your spouse, your parent, your child, your best friend, attacking them in the middle of the night, not because you're angry, but because you're scared and stuck in your own nightmare. People who have been diagnosed with PTSD must worry about hypothetical scenarios like that becoming part of their reality. In this speech, I would like to inform you about the diagnosis, the treatment, and the prognosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. The Veterans Affairs tells us that 8 out of every 100 people will be diagnosed with PTSD at some point in their lives. PTSD can be diagnosed by a mental health provider, such as a therapist or a psychiatrist, psychologist. Any of those can diagnose PTSD. Your doctor will evaluate you when you are to be diagnosed to rule out other mental illnesses such as anxiety, bipolar disorder, or even depression. Before PTSD diagnosis can be made in anybody, whether a child or adult, you must have symptoms lasting longer than 1 month. Some of those symptoms could be nightmares, flashbacks of the event, uncontrollable thoughts about the event. The CDC tells us all children may experience very stressful events that affect how they think and feel. Most of the time, children recover very quickly. However, some children who experience severe stress will have long-term effects, which in turn would be post-traumatic stress disorder. When children develop long-term symptoms lasting longer than a month that upset their relationships. So with upsetting their relationships, it could be a family relationship or even a relationship with a teacher. When children have no more desire to bond, that could be a serious sign of post-traumatic stress disorder. Stanford Children's Health tells us some symptoms children face are nightmares, sleep problems, and lack of positive emotions. These lack of positive emotions, again, are the glue that hold families together. And when it is ripped apart, then the family needs to work to build it back up, which is why you would take your child in to see a psychiatrist or psychologist after a traumatic event. Now that I shared with you how PTSD is diagnosed, I will discuss with you how it is treated. Again, PTSD can only be diagnosed by a mental health professional. Post-traumatic stress disorder can be treated by various ways. Talk therapy is a great way for adults and children to work through their problems to try to get to the root of their post-traumatic stress disorder. Cognitive therapy is another type of therapy that will help them recognize the way they are thinking and keeping themselves down is not healthy and help build them back up. Exposure therapy is a behavioral therapy that helps you safely face your fears. It puts you in that moment and it will help bring you out so that you can heal again. Medications are often a treatment of PTSD. Antidepressants as well as anti-anxiety medications. So they have medications such as Zoloft and Paxil, or even if it's really strong anti-anxiety medications, they will put you on to help you heal and bring yourself back to where you need to be healthy. The Drug Food Administration, FDA, has put through the treatment that will help with PTSD. The treatment that helps with PTSD under the Food, Drug, and Administration is Zoloft, Paxil, antidepressants. Another treatment for PTSD is eye movement desensitization and reproaching, EMDR. EMDR is a treatment for PTSD that helps with the movement of the eyes, the shifting, when people feel like there are shadows in the background. So that helps some of the more severe cases. Now that I have shared with you how PTSD is treated, I will discuss the prognosis. Long-term outlook for PTSD widely varies on how you are treated. If you take the full force of your PTSD and get help, and you are seeing a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, all of those combined with some medications to do the side effects will help. About 30% of people eventually recover completely with proper treatment. In conclusion, you have now been informed about the diagnosis, the treatment, and the prognosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. So I ask you all again, imagine yourself physically hurting someone you love. Can you do that? Can you feel the pain inside of hurting someone you love? People diagnosed with PTSD do feel that. I too feel that. I do understand what it's like to imagine yourself hurting someone you love, because I too am one in 8 million adults who have also been diagnosed with PTSD.